Now, this is an interesting one. Who do you think kicked this? The goal was given to Collingwood, but Holmes gets his foot to the ball before Rowe, and the goal is credited to Collingwood and to Rowe. So, well, Collingwood won by 3 in the end. Mitchell's handball this time to Minton Connell, who kicks 5 goals. He's kicked 34 goals so far this season, Minton Connell, and this man Stroopers kicked 34. Now, this is Cresswell going for goal, and a goal for Sydney. They did make a spirited game of it against Collingwood. Now, here's Gareth John running into the umpire, and you'll notice that Troy Gray runs into a couple of players in a moment. That one's Scott Russell, and the next one, Tony Francis, getting a coat hanger. I mentioned Stroopers kicked 37 goals so far this season, coming from Fitzroy. Minton Connell's kicked 34, coming from Carlton. They're having a battle for leading goal kicker at Sydney this season. Rose handball. Now, this looks like a Peter Dacos goal, doesn't it? McGuan, toe poking it through, and Mickey's had a tremendous season. Well, what a match it was at the MCG. Magnificent game between Footscray and Essendon. That was Harvey on Grant, very hard. Wallace has been reported for allegedly tripping Credihook in the opening quarter, and his case comes up. There was Campbell off the ground. There was Buick, a little fortuitous, but he went for it and scored the goal, and Essendon got that early break. Collingwood, within a minute, scored a similar one at the other end to get the goal for Footscray to keep them well and truly in it. Some hard stuff. That was Ridley with Collingwood over the top. Here's Baxter, long going into him very hard. Buick and Bashuta McPherson. Hip and shoulder there by Wallace. Now here's Hills. He's an exciting young player. Liberatory coming in. O'Donnell. Now, great mark to kicker, but he makes a blue, and Royal scores a terrific goal under enormous pressure early, and then weaves a bit of a path for himself and goes bang from 40 metres out for a goal, and he's had a very good season, Brian Royal. Hills, exciting, as I said. Back to Plain. Plain has played very little football this season, able to snap a goal. That's what he's very best at. Well, Terry Wheeler really let the Doggy boys know. He was barking, you could say, at three-quarter time. They've had a terrific run. They've had a lot of hard matches. Their draw looks a little softer in the next couple of weeks, and they may be relieved by that. Long to Buick. Buick's at his absolute top when he runs in a straight line and goes bang, as he did there. And, well, he's a most effective player. The big surprise was the performance by Brisbane against Fitzroy, and it must have given Matt Rendell some joy. He was the captain for 3 years at Fitzroy, twice the best and fairest, under Walls and also Parkin during that period. And Robert Walls back coaching. Rod Owen, well, what a surprise. He kicked 4 goals in 4 games this season, hadn't played a senior match in 7 weeks, and yesterday kicked 8 goals, which is a club record against Fitzroy for Brisbane. So in a sudden, he resurrected his season. This man, well, he always resurrects at the right time. Dermot Brereton was instrumental in the first 4 goals for Hawthorn yesterday. John Platten started very well. I reckon Sandy Roberts got excited about this one.
Look at this. Look at this. What a kick from the Rat.
Yes, the Rat scoring. Oh, what about this fella? Oh, he's a joy. Darren Jarman. 31 kicks, 5 handballs, 4 goals. And it was a virtuoso performance yesterday. Ron Barassi said a few weeks ago he's never seen a bloke kick a footy any better than this guy. Look at that. He looks to be going half pace from 48 metres and just goes bang. He was in rare form. Well, the
stream of goals.
One of them wasn't Dunstall, which was quite surprising, wasn't it?
Well, Martin played very well indeed, and without just a pure football against him, you know, nothing.
And yet he couldn't get a vote.
No, he was next vote, Ronnie, but he didn't actually in the second half the ball didn't go up to Dunstall as much.
Was it North just lax or slack, second to the ball?
Well, I think that Hawthorn came out all powered up and played extremely well, and with the centre line that they've got, they continually took the ball down, and Dermy was in a bit of touch in the first quarter and gave a bit of a lift to them. You know, they all did extremely well, and they looked like a Hawthorn team.
How did he go in the second half, and who fired up?
He never went after quarter time.
Minutes.
He never went after quarter time, Dermy, at all.
Bob, can the Hawks win the premiership?
Well, they've got to get into the 6 for a start. That's
they do
the
that?
key thing. Well, their run home is very difficult, but on their form, they're probably going to make it. I think that they'll be very close to making it. Depends on the other teams, how they get on. I mean, you know, if Fitzroy's dropped out now, haven't they, really? So that's one of the ones.
It's 4 going for 2, really.
That's right.
It's Carlton, St Kilda, Hawthorn,
yeah,
and also Essendon.
Yeah.
Bobby, what were some of the changes that Schimmelbusch made at half-time to get his side?
Well, it wasn't really the changes that much. It was the change in attitude was the biggest thing in their lineup. Carey suddenly dominating the game. And I mean,
so he didn't throw his side around it?
No, not a great deal. They admittedly did bring Longmire.
Constructive player for the Essendon team. But when it started to rain at the start of the game, I thought that Essendon had a real chance. I thought at ground level they'd be a better side than Footscray. Then the sun came out and I thought that perhaps Footscray might take over with their taller forwards. But Essendon's backline really was sensational. They had Flood on Del Rey, Harvey on Grant, Wanganeen on Royal and Ridley on Ballantyne. Ballantyne went off the ground just before quarter time. He didn't come back onto the ground until just before three-quarter time, when Campbell went to the forward line, and he looked all right in the last quarter, but I think it was because Essendon perhaps laxed in their pressure upfield, and the ball was able to be delivered to him a little bit better at that stage of the game. But, Sheeds, one thing I did notice yesterday is that Essendon kept turning back into the corridor all the time. They were intent on playing the corridor. Has that been a new part of the team plan?
Oh, not really. I think that... I think what happens when you're playing with more confidence and your players are getting a little bit more experience at playing together with each other, they tend to start knowing where they run and how they play. And I think that's probably not an over-intention of it, but I mean, you know, left footers bring the ball into a corridor if they're on the left-footing side of the game, if they're a right foot and they're coming on the other ground. So I think it's just the way it pans out sometimes.
You must have been really happy with the way the players attacked the ball. They were really desperate. They ran hard at the ball for the whole game.
I was really pleased with that. We felt that that's an area where we are improving. And to me, you know, it's an area where we
new player fresh from his triumphs. I think he made the All-Australian side in the Teal Cup. I gave him one vote, a fine debut, as they say. But Brisbane deserved this match, there's no question about it. They led at every change. Admittedly, they started with the win, so that always helps, of course. But against the wind, they outscored their opponents, and it was a worthy win. They were really hot to trot, and have continued, when you think about it, their good form of recent weeks when they've pressurised better sides, better credential sides, and Fitzroy. And of course, Fitzroy were very, very disappointing yesterday. I mean, they've blown their chance to stay in the hunt for the six, and that would have been a sorry troop that marched off the ground yesterday.
I'd be interested to ask Kevin, Ron, that as a coach of Essendon, in that battle for the Sixers, do you get joy out of seeing Fitzroy lose yesterday? I mean, you must. I mean, it gives you an extra game clear of them.
Well, but it gives us an opportunity to get ahead from that point of view. But I mean, to me, out of the whole game, I was interested in young Voss getting a vote. You know, to me, just reading the articles on drafting and that, I think that's where the game's really going to get to. And I think there's a bit of a panic on at the moment with drafting, because I think there's going to be a lot of players over at the end of this year not on the list when it gets cut back. And there's going to be a lot of experience there anyway. So I don't know whether they have to have...
Isn't that a good idea then to give the Bears first crack at them with a couple of choices?
I mean, at the present time, they're not using the draft correctly, some of these clubs, and they should use it better. And I don't know whether the penalty should be given to the clubs that have used it.
The penalty will eventually get there, won't it?
Well, to me, I mean, look, you can put a 17-year-old kid in and get a vote in his first game from Queensland. I mean, gee, that's a
rather than the rule, isn't it?
He is an exceptional action. Sheets, thanks for coming in. Well done in the last few weeks. It's been terrific, and the Bombers are still in town. Ron, we've had to cut it short just a little bit, your summary of that match, but tell us about it in the commercial break, mate.
Oh, now, thanks, Ray.
Just for kicks, don't forget this book. It is a funny read, and a lot of the prominent sports people on the ground and off the ground have contributed to that book, newsagents and bookstores. A break, back with more after this.
A double header today. First up live, Adelaide